What's going on, everybody? Radio here, and we are back with another video. We've been talking a lot about Anthropic, OpenAI, Grok, Google, and all their related AI endeavors. XAI. I said Grok, but I meant XAI. But we haven't really talked much about Meta and their work and what they have been up to. Our good friends at Good Work came out with a video. What does Meta actually do now? I'm just expecting this video to be hilarious. That's the last video we watched was very funny. So I hope this video is also funny and informative. We all already know Meta has a new model, Muse Spark, which is they went from open source to closed source proprietary. So it's interesting to see a deep dive into what they're doing right now, because I think I saw their earnings are up and they're making more money than ever. So it's not like things are going bad for them, right? Things are going okay, especially in the ad space and in the social media space. So they got two juggernauts, Instagram and WhatsApp, kind of raking in cash for them. So let's see this investigation and let's see what they have been up to.
In the beginning, there was nothing. Then, there was Facebook, a sparky social media startup determined to connect us, led by an ambitious Caesar-cut Caucasian. But then Facebook announced a big change, with this video of a ghost chasing you around an empty haunted tech office.
I believe the metaverse is the next chapter for the internet.
I feel so bad for Mark Zuckerberg. He had a good idea. The execution was just so awful. You can't force people to go into a space they don't know anything about. And he already had a metaverse ready, which was Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and that whole ecosystem. That's already a metaverse in and of itself. So he basically spent a lot of money creating virtual environments that nobody wanted to do anything in. Instead, what he should have done was focus more on building communities inside those social media apps and actually just like the way Facebook groups are going, but even be more involved in that side of it. And because it's already a metaverse. You going on Instagram and looking at your friends and the people you follow, you're in the Instagram metaverse. You going on TikTok, you're in the TikTok metaverse, and there's all these different things that you can do on TikTok. And if you go to China and use the super apps, that's a whole metaverse in one app, right? Same with X. X is a super app, which you could consider it be a metaverse inside of it, where there's these different communities, different people interacting with each other, different tools they're using, different sections. There's videos, there's dissertations people be writing on X. Same with Substack. That's like a little niche metaverse and all that. So I think the definition of metaverse was just botched, and people assumed the metaverse has to be a 3D virtual environment that you go in with a virtual reality helmet, virtual reality goggles. But what it actually is just you browsing YouTube. You're in the YouTube metaverse. The whole metaverse conversation was just botched by Mark Zuckerberg, by all these other NFT people, by Web3 people, that they wanted to extract capital from people, but they didn't have a good idea on how to do it. So they inflated and overvalued certain aspects of their services and their virtual realities, which all collapse. I mean, show me a Web3 endeavor that is lasting. Show me a metaverse that's not Fortnite or Roblox, that's thriving right now, right? If it's not like Second Life is a metaverse, right? But it's been a metaverse before metaverse was a thing. There's all these different little micro universes that exist online, where hundreds of thousands of people interact with each other on a daily basis. Any MMO you go into, WoW, Final Fantasy Online, Elder Scrolls Online, RuneScape, all those are metaverses, but they're metaverses that people actually want to be in. So basically my point is metaverse was botched. The concept of metaverse was botched, and that word is like diseased now. If you say metaverse, people look at you funny, but they still go on their own little metaverses and interact with the people that also exist in them. So it's a little bit ironic that people laugh at metaverse, but then actually participate in a metaverse across the board. There's nobody that's not participating in any sort of metaverse unless you're off the grid. Unless you're off the grid, there's nothing going on. If you have like a TV and you browsing these different channels, right? You can argue that that's a little metaverse in there because you just you're interacting with the TV and you're consuming whatever the TV is giving you. It's a little bit more passive than being active in an online environment, but I feel like the concept is still the same. You're sitting there and it's constantly evolving and changing. The programming always changes and there's always new programming that's available. It never ends. It's not like a book. Like I don't think books can be considered metaverses. They can be considered fictional universes, but the book that has a big clear beginning, middle, and end, and it's over. And there's nobody else that exists in there. There's not a real person. But on TV, there's live programming. There's shows and different things that constantly go on and evolve. There's new seasons of everything constantly going on. New sports games, new sport competitions, and it's just constantly evolving. So that's like a little metaverse in and of itself. So yeah, that's kind of what I think of metaverses.
So I've been thinking a lot about what this means for our company and who we are. Together, we can finally put people at the center of our technology and deliver an experience where we are present with each other. I am proud to announce that starting today, our company is now Meta.
Also, I don't know if you guys can relate. If you ever had like a big grand idea, how hard was it to communicate it to your peers and friends, right? Let's just say you had an idea as good as the metaverse, right? I'm not saying metaverse was an excellent idea, but it was a big grand idea that they pulled the trigger on it and worked towards it, right? How hard was it for you to explain that idea to other people? And those are your friends. Mark Zuckerberg had to explain the idea of a metaverse to millions of people and explain why he's changing his company's name from Facebook to Meta. And I just want you guys to remember, every time there's big concepts and big changes happening, it's just hard to explain exactly what you are doing because the concept is so huge, it's so macro, it's so abstract that I would argue you don't even need to explain it. You should just do the changes and say, hey, just wait and see, we're cooking up something, and then just drop these little things and all that. Yeah, so I just wanted to say that it's hard to explain big ideas. So when the announcement of a metaverse gets botched like this, it's easy to laugh at it. But if you had an idea similar to that and you wanted to execute on it, how hard would it be for you to explain it to other people?
I will accept no more mealy-mouthed word shenanigans from this animatronic boy man. This was all, somehow,
He is
4
very
years
robotic.
ago.
Yeah.
Now, Meta is a multi-pronged corporate behemoth. Mark dresses like a 19-year-old Xanax dealer, and I remain clueless as to what this company actually does. But today, I'm gonna change that.
Let's go.
It may be hard to remember, but Facebook started as just a simple social media site, a digital sanctuary of sorts where millennials could poke each other raw. But within a few years, we found out that everyone on Earth really fucking loves this
I remember
shit.
poking.
Facebook became home to over 1 billion users a day and went on to acquire companies like Instagram and WhatsApp. This growth, however, set the stage for an embattled PR stretch that included the fallout from an alleged spreading of so-called fake news during the 2016 election, revelations that Facebook had become a platform for Russian espionage, and the Cambridge Analytica scandal, in which the British political consulting company secretly harvested data on a whole bunch of Facebook users. All of which inspired Mark Zuckerberg to close ranks and amass more and more unchecked power within the company. But if 2016 to 2021 was an embattled stretch for the artist formerly known as Facebook, then 2021 to now has been perhaps even more battled. This concept of Meta's metaverse never really caught on the way they thought it would, and soon its operations were bleeding cash like the money monster when you stab it, leading Meta to effectively shutter this iteration of their metaverse efforts at a near $80 billion.
That's a lot of money. I don't think they needed to. Yeah, see, other digital worlds like Roblox, Fortnite became more popular. Obviously, because they're way better. They're way better. They're more accessible. They're easier to work in. And they're actually lucrative for the people who want to spend some time and build inside them. Every other metaverse promises to be lucrative, but it's predatory. It's very predatory. But I mean, I'm not saying Roblox and Fortnite, more Roblox than anything else, aren't predatory. But if your game gets enough traction on Roblox, you can make some decent amount of money. If your maps are popular on Fortnite, you can make a decent amount of change. And there is a chance for them to be popular, right? But if the metaverse you're actually working in is not even that popular, like how much money you're gonna make by building assets and worlds inside them, right?
Loss, which would be a lot if the company didn't already make over $200 billion a year. Enough money to empower Zuckerberg's new aggressive investments into artificial intelligence, or in 2 letters, AI. Meta's AI push has mostly been defined by hiring top engineers with splashy NBA All-Star salaries and, more recently, unveiling a new model to relatively positive reception. This is happening concurrently with a broader cultural reckoning against big tech.
This is crazy that the Meta, especially in the beginning, were like spending a lot on salaries. They were really trying to outspend. I think they got that guy for like $100 million to lead their labs or something. It's just insane amount of money they're throwing around, and for now they're still like a distant fourth or distant fifth. The other 4 companies are just leagues ahead of them right now. But Meta has the one thing got going for them is the embedded users. It has more users than X, and the only one that can compete in users with them is Google, because Google is just so synonymous with the internet right now. So they got some winning cards in their hands. They just need to play it at the right moment.
With Meta and another website recently losing a landmark court case in which a jury ruled they knowingly designed features that were addictive and harmful for a young user. So overall, Facebook's transformation into Meta has brought us a long way. The point-and-click social media site is now a corporate behemoth gunning on AI and printing out smart glasses, which have built-in perv cameras and might also one day have facial recognition technology, despite the fact that Meta's been fined in the past for violating user privacy.
Oh yeah, this has been this might be one of their bigger scandals, and it's not even a big scandal right now. It might become bigger in the future once the technology perfects a little bit. There was a firm in Africa that was contracted by Meta to review and train their AI on the footage that's been captured by the Meta Ray-Bans. And what ended up happening was this firm in Africa was exposed to lots and lots and lots of private videos and just a lot of things that people wouldn't want public, but they were receiving them because of the Meta glasses. So Meta used them to train the AIs and then dropped the firm in Africa. So they hired them on pennies on a dollar, got them to work, and then once they did some work and the training was on way, it's like, hey, we don't need you anymore. That was fucking fucked up.
Dan?
What was the purpose of the rebrand? Was it to try and separate themselves from the pretty damaged name that Facebook was building?
I think that was part of it, although they'll say that wasn't it at all. I actually do buy their explanation that at the time, Facebook had done some big acquisitions. So they had Instagram, they had WhatsApp, they had Oculus. If you have all these things, it starts to become confusing, like Instagram brought to you by Facebook, right? And so it was to have this holding company thing. And you could look to like what Google did with Alphabet. It was a similar thing where it was becoming very sprawling and there were all these new bets and new companies. And you don't want to have like Waymo brought to you by Google, right?
Alex Heath is an independent tech reporter who writes the newsletter Sources. What does Meta actually do?
From a business perspective?
From a business perspective, yeah.
It sells your attention. That's it.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah. How they make money is selling attention. Should have
Okay.
been more specific. And then Meta's attention is definitely less focused.
Alex Heath was undeniably qualified, but he was also being undeniable.
I just want to say, I'm glad I'm not the only one having issues with green screens. I just saw him be like half faded in a scene before. I'm just glad. Sometimes I feel incompetent with this green screen shit, but it's like, I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Sassy to me as a
Yeah, look at
guest
him,
on
look
my
at the
very own
green.
show.
How they make money is selling attention. Should have
Okay.
been more specific.
All right, bro.
Should have been more specific.
Completely disrespectful. So I found myself another also qualified reporter who's been covering Meta for a super long time and asked him the same question, hoping he'd be nicer to me.
What does Meta actually do?
I mean, I think that's a really good question.
That's how you treat Daddy Danny. This mustachioed rock and roller right here isn't just a great guy to fist some IPAs and argue about the best 2000s post-hardcore bands with. Nope, Mike Isaac is also the New York Times Silicon Valley correspondent.
I would still say at the end of the day, this is a company powered by Facebook, the app, Instagram, the app. Those are far and away just their money machines. They have WhatsApp. They have a hardware business where they make VR headsets. They have a hardware business where they make Ray-Ban.
Which I gotta say, it's undervalued. Quest as an entity, undervalued. They can really push for a virtual reality devices and all that. But because the adoption rate is so slow, it just doesn't make sense for them because they need big profits immediately. But their technology is underrated, their accessibility is underrated, and the way the Quest 3 has been selling is crazy. So, and I think it is only a matter of time until they announce Quest 4, and that's gonna be a huge leap too. I feel bad that Quest Pros never took off. Those had potentials to be competitive with Valve Index. But now we got Valve Frame coming out, so Steam Frame. That's gonna be interesting to see as well. But yeah, virtual reality is still. I'm so happy to see it kicking and still kind of moving along. And if you guys are interested, definitely try to dive deep into it because it's definitely one of the more crazier sensations that you can have in this world is being in virtual reality. Like, it's something for real.
And camera glasses and. God, they have Threads, which is like, which is a Twitter clone. So they're doing a lot of stuff, and yet their name is basically after this one specific thing, their rebrand from a few years ago, that is still kind of, TBD on whether it still exists, is what I'd say.
From my perspective, as the normie consumer, it seems like Meta's pretty much just walked back on the whole, at least investment in the metaverse. I mean, how much of that is true?
I think it's totally fair to say it's on life support. They also keep saying though, we're still doing it, we're still building hardware. They would argue, and there's some sort of philosophical debate around what the metaverse is, mixing a bunch of different realities at once. That's what I think the traditional metaverse is. What Meta did was kind of make it into metaverse equals VR, right?
Yeah.
These headsets
That's what I was talking about
we think
earlier.
everyone is going to use. Turns out no one used them, or at least very few, compared to the almost, $80 billion cumulatively across a bunch of different projects that they spent doing this. And they're really scaling back those efforts now.
I'm about to spit 6 letters at you, and it's very important that you remember them. Ahrefs. Ahrefs. Ahrefs is the complete marketing intelligence platform that your company or complicated stuff is.
How do you use Ahrefs in your day?
So as SEO being a huge part of things not in just,
free tools you can rely on. That's ahrefs.com/free. Ahrefs, thanks for sponsoring this video. To the
Check
rest
'em
of
out.
you, get like Lance. Check them out.
Check them
Though
out.
Meta's stable core of apps, which it calls its family of apps, may be how it makes its money. Like any good ambitious father, Meta has turned its back
Zuck
on its
fucks.
family in pursuit of hotter, younger business opportunities. At one point, this meant pivoting into the metaverse. But now, we don't care about that shit. Now, it's all about AI, baby. Whatever that may mean.
The wilderness that they're kind of lost in right now.
And it's funny because their AI endeavors, until very recently, were not that great. And they're spending so much money. They're hiring so many people. It's so weird to me how incompetent Meta is versus the scale they're at, the user base they have. It's just the implementation is bad. The use cases are bad. It just doesn't make sense to me that they have all these leg ups and they still cannot make as much of an impact as XAI, as Google.
Now is what their AI moves are going to be, and the rest of the industry has really taken off on AI, and they've made fits and starts on getting ahead and then falling behind. But it's still trying to make the case for what do you want Meta to be and what is its AI strategy going to be is still pretty hard to talk through.
Exactly.
And like for someone as dumb as yourself, it's especially hard to understand, basically.
He did it not this time.
At this point, I was fed up with talking to bespectacled, hoity-toity, reporty journalist fucks who think they're better than me. So I found some current and former Meta employees that I'm better than and invited them inside the swirling vortex of the Good Work Anonymous reporting portal.
What does Meta
Warp.
actually do?
Oh my god. I guess the classic party line is that we optimize our products to maximize our revenue. But basically we're an ad engine. We have pretty much an oligopoly of people's attention and we use that to sell ads.
If you think about what you do day to day on Instagram, post photos of food you like to eat, things you like to do, friends you've made. All this is in lieu of collecting information so as to better target ads.
See, that's not true. I post all of those things in order to connect with people.
That's a pretty consumer perspective way of giving all of this information that you're freely providing. But when you're posting that photo, what happens behind the scenes is that we use machine learning algorithms to tag things that they might see in the photo, and it correlates this with other things that you might
No
be
friends
more likely
being ridiculous.
interested in.
These
I
are
work on, like,
fucking
the
hilarious.
Meta AI classes. I don't think people know that like when you say like hey Meta, all the workers can see her. So like I was with like some very strange like user interactions, but like I basically have to like grade the interactions and see like it's like a pass or a lot. Because it used to be like purely a human job just like to look at every interaction, like assemble the interactions. But now with like an AI agent that like does it for us, and so like I'm looking at like what the AI agent have to say about it and seeing if that's a correct or not to see if we need to make any changes. Does that make sense?
Does that make sense? Why do people keep thinking I'm some kind of dummy? I'm not. I have a brain and it feels hurt sometimes. Folks, in my conversations with this anonymous squad of Meta Mafia, two things became clear. Everyone more or less understood that despite all of the recent noise, the way the company makes the vast majority of their money is by selling ads. Which, if you'll recall, is exactly what these assholes said earlier. They also explained to me that in some ways, being a professional metamate does have its perks.
I like the office. There's like free food. I got flown around the world a couple of times just to, you know, talk about various engineering related things, and then day to day solving an interesting technical challenge was always kind of an easy way to excite me and make me forget about the base level of boredom that, you know, exists when you're working on serving ads to people.
Ebonian puffs were very real. You know, you'd look at your Schwab account with all your meta stock that's vested, and it'd be a big number, but then an even greater number was the unvested stock. And so sitting there looking at my Schwab account going, if I quit right now, I'm giving up a little less than $2 million in stock for the next 4 years.
But at the same time, everyone also
That's a lot of money. Damn, they got it like that, huh? Shit, dude. I can see why these guys stay there, dude. They got them by the balls.
said that the reality of working at Meta depends a lot on the team you're on, which can be less than ideal, and sometimes even less than that.
The culture at the company. What was that? What was
Toxic.
that? Was it?
Toxic to the core.
But you just said you were working with all these smart people that you got along with. What happened?
I mean, these smart people also tend to be, you know, rational and ambitious, and Zuck, he has this philosophy of like picking teams against each other to make them compete, and then it becomes like a Lord of the Flies kind of nasty politics. Like the first month was like the honeymoon phase where you get to experience like, oh my god, they had like 30 different types of like flavors of Coca-Cola or like all these different super healthy snacks. Like their gym has like these amazing like hot yoga sessions that as you start to like get acclimated, like the expectations become obvious, and then you're just like competing, and then whoever does the most projects stays and whoever doesn't, like, you know, so everybody's
Yeah,
like
the
basically
layoffs
always
are
constantly anxious to
crazy.
survive. So the amount of like stress
Layoffs are crazy. I think they laid off like what? They laid off a lot of people. I don't even remember the number, but it's they just go around they just mass laying off people. So it makes sense that they only want people who working to the bone. They only want people who are grinding to the bone to stay. And the amenities, sometimes it feels like they have the amenities, but they can't use them. Understand? It's hey, we have it, but you still got to work so much that you don't even get to enjoy it.
And fear of what's going to happen to my job. You think you're in this like super secure, not amazing benefits, whatever job, and get everybody found ourselves just going,
Exactly.
who knows, like, life could be impacted. There's during the
What I was
first round
saying.
of layouts. That's what they say. They don't say, oh, he got like laid a lot. They say he was infected.
What's happening inside of Meta now is that the company's push into AI appears to be combining with their already competitive culture to create a stew of bad vibes. A bourguignon of beef. Internally, Meta is installing software to track its employees' activities on the job.
Does your workplace, guys, has stuff like this? Mine doesn't, but I feel like it's coming because they make it so convenient for the employers to install them and just monitor that. I feel like at some point it's gonna happen. And most of the reporting I do is not automatically, so I have to physically report what I did. So I have some leeway in that where I can dictate how many hours I worked on a certain project in a certain order. So I still got some autonomy on how fast I can do the job, how much time I can spend on stuff, but it'll be mad annoying if they're watching me and just timing everything I do. And I just feel like it's coming soon. And maybe if it's not this year, next year, for pretty much every person that's employed, they're gonna start monitoring you heavily. And basically any sort of body movement that you do that's out of line, you're gonna get reprimanded at.
Including mouse movements and keystrokes in order to train its AI model. This is on top of recent layoffs while Meta continues to spend more on AI infrastructure.
I've talked to a number of colleagues who are kind of just in this like flap happy state of like, who knows? My job might be around tomorrow, it might not be. Like, it just cannot imagine working in that environment. These days, like, he's not trying to hide that this is what he's doing. It's like incredibly transparent internally. We are building AI to replace you, so keep working hard if we want to see what you do. I was in the integrity org. I think they call it trust and safety how, because, you know, that I was its own special little unicorn calling it integrity, but everyone else calls it trust and safety. My biggest focus was on sort of like the platform level detection mechanisms for like the worst of the worst stuff. And what Meta seemed to do was keep taking the engineers away. The number of conversations I had about like, we need this many more engineers to do this thing, I would always ask, and then it would be maybe half of what I needed. But that was not the case at all in Gen AI. They were just, it was like a glut of engineering over there. I had some workers go there and just be like, oh yeah, well, Gen AI have taught 47 engineers on building floppy faces that are gonna react when you send them.
That's funny.
Sorry. We have to use like a certain amount of AI, like if there's a quarterly happening. I like the
Yeah, that's
AI is,
another
like,
thing.
really shitty.
That's another thing. There's a quota of tokens that you need to spend to be competitive at your job, which wouldn't you want the opposite? Wouldn't you want like a small amount of tokens used so you can save some money and be efficient with your token usage? Just because you're using a lot of tokens doesn't mean you're getting a lot of work done. You could just fill up the context, and then every time you send a message, it uses 1 billion tokens. Yeah, boss, I used 2 billion tokens just today. Oh, wow, that's so impressive. And then you look at the context window, and it's just filled with nonsense. So every time you send a message, it reads that entire context window, and those tokens get spent. Oh man, it's just such a backwards idea. You would want, as a company, hey, let's actually clamp down on our token usage, and let's actually spend less money on tokens and make sure that our output is good and is quality, and review what we're doing. I just feel like that makes more sense than, hey, let's just use as much tokens as possible and just redline our limits.
But maybe want us to use this about the constraints to be better.
But despite all the chaos and paranoia, Meta doesn't appear to be backing down from the broader AI race it finds itself in as a tech behemoth.
Zuck's thesis here that he's told me and others is, if you believe that AI and these models are foundational technology that are going to matter for decades to come, that are going to shape power, shape who wins in technology and just society more broadly in business. You don't want to be reliant on someone else's model if you're a large company, especially if you have a lot of resources and you have the will and the ability to be at the frontier. And I think that's what he's hoping that they're going to do, is be at the frontier, because
but they're not
the
yet.
thing that people talk about in Silicon Valley, especially the competitors to Anthropic and OpenAI and Google DeepMind, is, you know, will these models always be as accessible to us as they are now? You know, will there ever be a moment where someone at the frontier realizes, like, well, you know, now I've created, you know, digital God, and I'm not going to give this to my competitors, and I'm going to take off on my own. If you look at the history of Facebook, right, it was a website, then it was a mobile app. That transition was really tough. And if you read into the headlines and the tensions, the business tensions that Facebook has had for the last 15 years, it's a lot of fighting with Apple and Google specifically, because they control the app stores that Facebook is distributed through. And I think he views AI like, you know, the modern day app store. It's like, I'm not going to be beholden to someone else's AI in the same way that I've been beholden to Apple and Google.
You're very plugged into the tech industry. How does the industry feel about Meta's direction right now?
I think everyone is very skeptical that they're going to be able to pull this AI Avengers reboot off.
Where does the skepticism come from?
Because no one's done this. No one's brought in all these personalities from all these leading labs, paid all this money, done it in such a public way, with the stakes being so high, because Meta's spending
they're paying the most
CapEx, right, to build all these data centers. Zuck told me it was going to be like 600 billion or something like that. It's a crazy number. That's the stakes. Is like, this is what they're spending on. This makes the metaverse look like a side project.
Now, as a guy who's currently trying to sell his Playboy-themed pinball machine on Facebook Marketplace for a cheap 1,200 clams, let's be fair to Meta for a second. Their investment into AI isn't just to create new products, but to uplift their core family of apps and make them more profitable as well. And that's already working. Isn't that right, Mark Mahaney, who heads up the investment bank Evercore's internet research team?
One of the companies that's shown the best track record at the application layer of deploying AI to improve its business is Meta. The service has become, thanks to AI, it's become more relevant, more personalized, so it's led to greater engagement. You give an advertising company like Meta, you know, more engagement, they're going to give you more ad revenue. Their revenue growth has tripled over the last 3 years, and I think the deployment of AI to make the service more engaging for consumers, the deployment of AI to make their marketing campaigns more effective for marketers, I mean, it's just erupted into this P&L that 3 years ago nobody thought that.
Do you guys agree with that? Their deployment of AI seems fine, unless he's talking about something that I'm not thinking of. But if it's the deployment of AI on the user side, I don't really like it. It doesn't seem that useful. And it's if anything, it's a little intrusive. I feel like the push for it is very annoying, especially on Instagram. You press on something and it prompts you to download Meta AI app, and I just don't want to do that. So let me know, guys. Let me know what you think about this. Do you think this guy's right? Do you think they're making more money than ever because they're deployed AI just so vastly across all their apps, and so they're so hell spent on, oh, we gotta get this AI thing going?
Meta would be a 30% revenue grower, but it is.
And there you have it, folks. Mark Zuckerberg, grower, not a shower. Shouts out to everybody on Kalshi who is waiting for us to break that news. Someone just made a life-changing amount of money. And that's what we're all about here on Good Work. Someone making a life-changing amount of money betting on Mark Zuckerberg's penis. Heartwarming story. So,
hilarious.
What does Meta actually do? It set out to connect the world. And damn it actually kind of did. If by connect the world you mean get everyone crystal meth level addicted to social media, then they use those wildly popular social media apps to gather really accurate information about you to sell a gobsmacking number of ads to companies who want to sell stuff to you specifically. They give their employees great benefits and lay them off from time to time. They lost over $80 billion building a technology that turns you into a blob person in virtual reality. They sell a surprising number of smart glasses that turn you into an annoying person in real reality. And now they're siphoning as many resources as possible towards artificial intelligence. But ultimately, Meta does whatever its creator wants to do in the name of clinging on to the empire he built off of Facebook.
Look, at the end of the day, I don't think this is unique to Mark. I think this is just Silicon Valley, which is you never want to get rendered irrelevant. And I think fear of being irrelevant, I know it keeps Mark up at night, but I think it keeps all of these guys up at night. I have a lot of criticisms of Mark, as many do, but the thing that I will give him is like, he and I are basically the same age. He's born a few months before me. I'm fucking tired. I like to like go to work and chill and like have 1 or 2 or 7 beers at the end of the day, and like that dude is working all the time and constantly like, what's next, da, 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 you know. And I will give anyone props for that, because like you could easily rest on your laurels at this point and just be like, all right, now I'll figure out my successor and ride off into the sunset and stamp my legacy as like guy who built Facebook or like this big thing. But I don't think he's satisfied with that. I can't see him leaving the company anytime soon. Like, they'll pry him out of that chair. He doesn't have to either, because he's got dual class share structure and like holds all the power. So like, props to him for pushing. It's more a question of like, can he pull it off? Can he stay relevant for as long as possible? And TBD, I guess.
Indeed, TBD. Whatever that means. I guess we'll see, Mike. But we are going to have to wait to see if the artist formerly known as Facebook can truly evolve past its haters and dissatisfied employees to create new addictive money printing technologies. Or in other words, complete a true metamorphosis.
Hey, I see what you did there.
For good work, I'm Dan Toomey.
Not too bad, man. I enjoyed this video. Not too much crazy information, and I thought they would go deeper in the AI stuff, but they didn't. I think they just kind of prime you to understand that Meta's main business right now is ads and AI. So maybe in the future I'll find another video that goes deeper into Meta's AI plans, and I think that will be something interesting to follow through with, where we get to see more in detail what they're working on and all that. I dropped a video on OpenAI's new updates, Anthropic's new updates, Grok's new updates. So I think it will be interesting to see what's Meta's cooking, and MuseSpark new updates, new capabilities and all that. What they're going for in their AI plan, and how are they looking to get users to engage with their products. Anyways, let me know in the comments, what do you guys think? If Meta comes out with a good AI that's cheap to use and comparable to like a Sonnet or a GPT 5.4, would you use it? Would you switch? Are you using a Meta AI offering? Are you using any of their models? Let me know. I would be very much interested to hear what do you guys think of their AI models. But with all that being said, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, and I will see you guys later. Radio out.